Give it a second, you gotta get this thing going. Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming at you live from Life on the Rocks, episode 10, with your host, Connor Rocques. Today's featured guest in the hot seat is one of my good friends, Kyle Fletcher. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. It's honestly an absolute pleasure to have you on this show. For anyone who doesn't know, Kyle is a millennial leader from our generation. That's the way I like to call him in, but he's actually a BJJ purple belt, a Muay Thai fighter. Just had a big fight coming up. But before we get this interview started, I want to start it off like this, guys. For anyone out there, you know, we're sitting back on a Monday, somewhat of a holiday. Everyone's like, oh, I hate Mondays. Well, you don't hate Mondays. You hate your job. Seriously, that's the rule, okay? So let's get this interview started. So, Kyle, as of about 2 weeks ago, you had a big fight. I just had Jesse Cronje on the show last week. Yep. I want you to walk me through this fight. This was a big fight for the city of Sudbury, 500 people in attendance. Let's talk about that. Walk me through this fight.
Look
into the camera. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Okay, well, I don't know, man. The fight was actually like a pretty big fight for me. It actually totally consumed me for a bit. Like, even from the day it announced. We announced it 6 months before. And I remember, like, just getting in the ring. Like, I got a phone call. And, like, I was just going to, it was the Northern Fights 2. And I got a phone call from my manager, John. And he's like, bro, like, do you want the Jesse fight? Like, the Jesse fight is being offered right now. So I was like, okay, I guess. And then he's like, bro, but you got to bring it. You got to go in there and you got to hype this fight up. Like, he's just basically like, you know.
Sell it.
Sell it. So I get in there and then I just said, you know what? As an athlete and as someone who always wants to push himself, he's known as one of the best kickboxers in town. And I'm known as one of the best jiu-jitsu guys, or like one of the, you know.
Prestigious kickboxers too. Absolutely, man.
But I don't want to say that because, you know, it's just more or less, I always want to get better. So I saw that as a challenge to myself. And, you know, because me and Jesse had that history where, you know, when we were kids, you used to just mop me up and we were training partners.
We used to train together too. That's the best part, right?
We were all best friends, man. We were all in the gym together, man. When we were young, 14 years old, we were just right after school, go to the gym, all hang out. But no, so yeah. Anyways, I ended up taking the fight. And then get in the ring, he got really close to my face, and there was just so much pressure, and everyone was yelling.
The emotion, the attention, everything else.
And, you know, just like you said, I'm an emotional guy, so
for sure.
You know, I wanted to hype the fight up too. So
absolutely.
And then, we got on the mic, and then I said some things, he said some things, and then, you know what? Ever since that day, it just sort of consumed me. Like, you know, I woke up every single morning, like, you know, what is Jesse doing right now that I should be doing? Like, it, you know, it gave me a reason to wake up. It was like a fire.
Motivation to pull, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it freaked me out too, because it was like I never had this. I never had this sort of like so much on me that it was like if I didn't go in there and perform or get walked over, it could have been over for I think my career, like sort of like,
absolutely, for your ego too. That would take you psychologically, that hit you so hard because you're like, oh, if I don't do this, everyone's counting on me.
Yeah,
this is it. We were talking crap. We went into that fight.
No, exactly, and it was just more or less, I don't know. It was a weird, like it was a crazy motivational thing. It was a fire that burned inside for sure. Like wake up every morning, like, oh, what's Jesse doing? Like he was really live on Instagram.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, I wasn't. I chose not to because I thought it would get in his head more. And, you know, we had John, like, they talk to him all the time and say, like, oh, he's not training, he's not in the gym. But
for sure.
I actually left 3 weeks prior to go train at the Mass Academy for Chris.
One of the best in the world
one of the best trainers in Canada. So I went over there, I stayed at his house, and it was just, bro, my day was 5:30 a.m. training to 7:30, get home, take a nap. Wake up at around 11 and then go in, do some weights, come home, eat some food, and then just train again at night. And then, you know, I was training with some of the best guys there, like Robert Thomas, he's in Glory.
Absolutely. Daniel Chekengo guy, or whatever, I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Daniel Kachego.
Kachego, yeah, he's out there.
Yeah, shout out.
Yeah, shout out. But no, he's good too.
Yeah, no,
it's one of those things.
Training with all those killers and, you know, like, and then, so getting to the fight, you know, fight day, I was honestly, like, I basically shitting my pants, you know, the whole time.
Yeah. It's like a thrill of a rush.
Yeah, it was.
I gotta step in there, man.
Yeah, it was more or less like it was real now. Like for the whole training camp, you know, you're doing these little fights, you're doing these, you know, picking up these little fights, and like it just didn't feel like there was that much pressure on them. So you do them.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then you build that experience, and then from then it was just like the day of the fight. It was like, this is real. Like all this shit talking and all this stuff, like everything just came to the point where it was like,
holy crap.
It's time to go.
Did you sleep that night? Like, literally, how did you feel that night when you're going to bed? Were you sitting there thinking, were you stressed? As you, Kyle's tournament, was I stressing? Were you stressing?
Yeah, was I stressing?
You were stressing.
You know what? I felt fine, and then the next day it really kicked in that, you know, I'm going to go in and fight. And I was more nervous to fight in front of my whole family. I just didn't want to disappoint the fans.
You've seen their table, too.
Yeah, I didn't want to. Yeah, it was funny that my family sat right next to Jesse's
I know.
family.
Yeah.
My mom was like, what was that? What the hell was that? And she thought it was funny, both her and Diane, I bet. But
I want to ask you something right there, not to cut you off.
Yeah,
Jeff,
no
but
problem.
what was the hardest part about fighting Cronje? Like, we've all sparred him. I sparred you. We got a mix. Like, you guys have two stylistically are different. You're a little bit more open. He comes in with that, you know, kind of Bazooka Joe Thai boxer style. You're in with the more Renzo Gracie mix. You know, it was difficult with him. His kicks are hard too. You gotta admit, like, he's got very hard kicks.
He's got his setup for the leg kick was very good. We knew from the beginning that he was gonna come in with leg kicks. So our game plan, and I know from watching video, and I know just from him, when he throws his leg kick, he opens up and his hand gets open. And what a lot of people don't know, and I'll say this right now, but. When we getting into the fight, we jumped in the ring, and he, like, when, you know, Richie was doing his announcing, he was looking across from me, and I don't know what he said, but he was mouthing something, and I think it was like, we're gonna do this, like, I'm gonna mess you up. And then I pointed to the middle of the ring. I was like, stand right there and let's go. So I think that they thought my boxing wasn't as good, or they thought it was going to be a blowover. So I knew that the first thing I needed to do was establish that, like, I'm going to give no ground. Like,
absolutely,
it's just going to be
move forward.
I'm going to move forward, and I'm not going to let him get comfortable with his hands. So yeah, with the first exchange, I slipped ducked under a hook, threw a right hand, caught him, and then. It was pretty surreal because I was coming up, so I didn't really see that it shook him that much until watching the video.
Yeah.
So when I saw that it shook him, I'm like, oh, I got this. And then still exchanging first round, and then in the end of the first round, he caught me the leg kick, and I just, like, on my way down, and I stood up. The ref didn't 8 count. He's like, are you good? You're good? You're okay? I'm like, yeah. I stepped forward, and my leg was, like, messed up. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I gotta survive this. So then, round ended. Next round went in. Thinking, like, hey, you know, they're just telling me, like, you know, fake the T, knee, you know, keep kicking, like, keep him back. But it was weird because our game plan, too, was also to get him on the inside and box with him. Because I knew, like, I started getting comfortable with my hands, and I started letting go. You know, Jesse's a very very good fighter. He's a very good basics fighter. He throws jab very well, his cross very well.
Clean, man.
Yeah, his hooks and his kicks. He sets, like, that basic setup really well. So I knew that, like, I didn't expect much power from the punches. He does hit hard with his hands, but his leg kicks were the more devastating. So I thought, like, if I could just keep the distance in close and hit him with the hands, because I was hitting him hard and clean shots, I was like, I could probably put him away. And then I ended up getting chopped down.
You got chopped, it happens. You know what? It was a tough fight. To interject again, so one of those things, like, after watching that live, you could feel the energy off those people. That whole room, did that motivate you? Did that get you excited? Were you pumped?
I had chills running into that room because it was like even in between rounds, you know, like, or even you would hear, like, people yell Jesse, Jesse, troop, troop, and then on one end of the room you would hear people going Fletcher, and it just blew my mind. I was like, man, like. I remember, like, after the round ended, I was like, these people are, like, this is a wild, like, card. I thought that was, that was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had.
How was the emotion in there, Kyle? I want you to walk me through. How did you feel? Like, you know, really, I know you said you were anxious, but really walk people through. I'd like to tell everyone out there watching, this is important. I say this all the time because I want you to get inside the head of a mentality of a fighter. These guys get this song blaring over the PA system. Look at how much that fight consumed Kyle. Kyle's sitting there, and he's thinking, holy crap, I got to step in the ring. I got to fight. Jesse's like, I want to go fight. I want to kill him. You know, you guys are both ready to go. Yeah. Your song comes on over the PA system. All that training, all that hard work, blood, sweat, tears, all in that moment goes in. Walk through that emotion when you're walking into that room. Tell people how you felt.
To be honest, I was more nervous before, anxious, and then you feel, I always feel like going in, like, it's like one of the, I don't know if everyone, it's like that old motivational Mike Tyson video where he's like, you know, I've had dreams of this guy putting me down, that stuff. And then as you get into the ring and walk closer, you get more confident and confident.
Absolutely.
It starts to all wash away because it's about to happen. You're about to throw down. And both myself and Jesse have a lot of experience in the ring. So at the end of the day, it becomes a job. Like, it's like, hey, we're here to do this. Like, we're here to punch you on the face, and we're here to get better and gain exposure.
Execute.
Yeah. So, and then, that's basically, that was my mentality. I went in pretty calm, and then I was just like, I need to just establish that dominance, establish that right hand, and then establish my boxing and get comfortable. Like, that's the first thing I thought was get comfortable, in the ring, and don't let the leg kicks really get in your head.
Absolutely.
And then it's easier said than done once you're in there, you know.
Well, he's
exactly. And then you hear all those people like after the fight, they come and see, oh, you should have did this, you should have did that, and it's like, you, bro, like.
I know you can't. You're in a fight.
Yeah,
it's like someone punches you in the face, like Mike Tyson said, bang. You know, you have this game plan. Then what happens? You get hit. It's like, you know, I'd like to see anyone out there that maybe said something to you and said, oh, Kyle, I'd like to see them take a leg kick or step in the ring with arguably one of the best, you know, in Canada by far. And you're up there. You handled it well, and I want to get that to you.
That's what I said. Like, I was more disappointed in that it wasn't such a, I don't know, like even like we talked in the back, and it wasn't like it was, you know, Jesse was like, it was way outclassed. It was just the way that I was explaining in the back, and I was upset with the fight because I got put down. And then I had one of my team members come back to me. He's like, bro, that was honestly just, at the end of the day, that fight was based off of who had the better game plan and who implemented it better. He's like, there was no, you guys could fight 10 times and you would win 5, Jesse would win 5, or you know, it would be one of those.
Both got some man heads too. Let's not lie. They both got some man heads too. No, I'm just kidding.
It was basically who was gonna be the better man that night, and Jesse was the better man that night, and I'll give every props to him. You know what? I got better. I got to check leg kicks.
For sure. No,
I learned something. So
no, it's good.
Leg kicks hurt.
Leg kicks hurt bad. You know, you're good. You did limped in here? No, I swear.
You're
good.
I run crutches now.
I'm just kidding. No, he's good. But let's transition here. We're going to go over. I want to talk about the fight. That's primarily, Kyle is a mixed martial artist, a big, heavy fighter. We've sparred. We've done it. You know, where I started off in martial arts, I'm not a martial arts fighter, but you know what? We actually did the 2 rounds. That was Kyle got me with those knees big time. Put me down. It was all good.
It was my first fight.
Yeah, first one.
First one.
Look at these guys now.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely. But so going off of that for a second. So you know, how do you feel about him fighting Scott? Kyle's actually sparred Scott, or not? You did a demonstration.
Yeah, I'm gonna break this down. Like, I like to break down fights, and I talked.
Let's keep it quick too, because I'm gonna move into some things. Yeah. For people out there, they're not fighters, you know, kind of.
Yeah. So what Scott brings to the game is a very long, because he's a tall man. He's a huge dude. He walks like maybe 220, 225, and he's big. Like, he's 6'3", 6'2". Big frame dude. Where I think Scott is going to have the advantage on the outside, I think if, like, Scott has his front kick, he keeps people back, and he has long boxing with the kick at the end. So I think that if Jesse can get past that teep, and he can get past the long boxing, I think Jesse's going to take it on the inside. I think Scott could take that fight on the outside.
Okay, for sure.
So that's one of those fights where it's like they both have a similar style where they like to end with the leg kick and go up high. Where Jesse, like, it's just Jesse likes to go on the inside and box with his hands, inside, high. Where Scott likes to stay on the outside with the hook, teep, leg kick, high.
Okay, so that's good. So that's awesome, man. And not to cut you off, it's one of those things I got so many topics I got to talk to you about. For anyone who doesn't know, Kyle, you know, he's a vocal guy. He's a little bit controversial in a positive light, because I'm controversial as well, but this is, you know, it's positive. So I want to talk about something. So me and Kyle actually worked together for about a couple months. I bring Kyle in. I always tell you guys, we did the door-to-door game. How did you find that? Like, that's arguably one of the hardest things to do. Go sell door-to-door. You're live at the door. There's an instant stigma when that person opens the door. They're looking at you thinking, oh, what are you trying to sell me? Talk to people about that, about the idea of selling, going door-to-door. How important selling is, you know, in growing as a person, being able to communicate, negotiate, do your ideas. Explain that.
In my own opinion, I think that door-to-door, like, if you want to get involved with sales, door-to-door is the best way to get into it. Sure. Because you're again, like you said, it's the best way. It's like almost like a fight. It's experience. You get in there, what's the worst that could happen? They say no, close the door. Well, there's 100 other doors. Just like, what's the worst thing that could happen in a fight? You get knocked out, you get back up, there's 100 other fights.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's the way that I always saw it, and I saw it as like a verbal sparring match. So they say no, and then you have your point. Then they say, you know, they say no, then you have another point, and you just keep going, and then you can get in and establish that relationship. And there's no better thrill than getting in the door, getting them to sign a paper, and then, you know, and what we weren't selling vacuums, we were selling them security systems.
Yeah, we were protecting their crowd.
Yeah, we were going in and we were actually protecting the community, because we care about the community. We're pretty active in the community. I'm active with kids, and I'm active with a lot of the sub-MMA events, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, I think that the sales training, the people who think that sales is a stigma are the people who I think that are afraid to do it, and they always want to take the easy way. But it's those hard in the trenches digging. You know, those are the people who succeed, because they've
been out there in the trench. Exactly. Going right off of that point, I think it's so important. Right off what Kyle just said. a lot of people, they don't leverage that power of selling, you know, trying to persuade in a positive way. It's not like, okay, I'm just coming here. I always say that we're not just coming to take your money. It's like, if you have a product and service, like what keeps companies' revenue up and what generates a business, it drives a business, is sales. If you're not able to sell, I always like to say you might not survive, you know, in a positive way. A lot of people, they come out of university, and this is where we're going to touch on. A lot of people are coming out of university right now, I find. They got the wrong protocol. Our governments, we have the wrong protocol in the sense that, you know, people are led to believe, oh, well, you know, I'm going to get my degree, do this, and I'm going to get a job. And then all of a sudden, the general mentality is we have no jobs, or like there's no jobs. So the idea, we have to switch the protocol to the fact that innovation pays. It's going to be the fact that we have to say, you know, okay, well, if there's no jobs, well, the idea, the mentality has to be we have to create jobs. That has to be the thing. So that's going to be part of my political campaign. Just kidding, guys. But that's one of the important things. So, the reason I wanted
Connor for mayor.
Yeah, Connor for mayor, president. See, I'm just kidding. That's arrogant. I didn't mean that. But the reason I'm talking about this for a second is, so Kyle was a student. You went to Cambrian. You took business, correct?
I took fitness. Fitness and management. We had business courses as well as biology courses. It's like a precursor to the human kinetics program at OU.
Okay, so the reason I wanted to ask that is because it's one of those things where, you know, you ended up, it's not that you dropped out, you just didn't see the value in it, so you wanted to pursue your own, you're going into sales, you want to do the financial side. Walk us through that. So how do you feel about the education system today? And give it some controversy, everyone wants to hear.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding, no,
well,
I'm joking, but go ahead.
Because I'm getting involved, I also, like, through door-to-door sales, I got a job, and I'm getting involved with finances. And just from experience alone, I honestly think that the education system, the way that I look at it when it comes to, like, high school versus university, you need to remember that a lot of the times when you're going into these different programs, you need to think of an end goal. You have to have goals of where you want your life to be and where you expect it to be at that time. So when you're 24, 25, when you get out, or you're 23, you don't expect to have that $100K, $1,000 job.
Absolutely.
If you do, just remember, like what you said, innovation drives the economy. So if you're thinking innovation, it's in the trades and the skills and stuff like that. I wish that as a young kid, like I wish that I got involved when I was in high school with more trade courses. I thought they were bird courses. I thought everyone who was in trades were stupid. And next thing you know, the people that are making, my brother's doing well. My dad, both my brother and my father went to Africa to do ironworking. Like I come from a blue collar family, so coming from a blue collar family, I thought, you know, as an arrogant 16-year-old, 17-year-old going to work, I was like, you know, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to do fucking trades. I don't want to get my hands dirty. I don't want to be a back. I'm a brain. And next thing you know, you realize that you're not really anything, and you only if you decide to become something. So that's the way that I saw it, and I saw it as even in high school, you're held by the hand. Even in college, you're held by the hand. But a lot of the times, that the stuff that I was learning, I thought that, well, if I just invested in myself, invested in books and self-learning, I could get ahead of the class.
You can get ahead and be the
exactly,
different
and that's what I thought too. And
are you gonna be an entrepreneur, Kyle? Like, yeah, just right out there. Do you ever want to be an entrepreneur, business owner? Do you like that?
Yeah, the idea is really
good.
Yeah, it's just the money at the end point.
Absolutely,
it's like coming up with the money. Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. Everyone wants to sell things, but everyone wants to make money. But it's your initial investment.
I know, it's kind of funny. I want to digress on this for a moment. So when I graduated university in the spring, it was one of those things. So I joined summer company. So for anyone out there looking to do that, that's pretty awesome. So I did summer company. They gave you a $3,000 grant to start your company. So I basically tried to start a consulting thing with millennials. That's where I get paid as a speaker. And it failed miserably. Like, it didn't fail so much, I just wasn't getting paid the same thing. So it was one of those things I had to sell to survive. That was almost the mentality.
Yeah.
Thank God for my father helped me out a bit and all that. Like, I transitioned out of the bank where I was doing, you know, the frontline sales, all that. And it only took me until recently, until I started that one company, Rocques Enterprises, that things actually started to go. I actually got a contract. But other than that, like, it was tough. I was sitting out there, you know, some days you're not making any money. You're like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, you know, you're walking around, people are like, oh, hey, that looks good, he's posting cool photos, but at the time, you're sitting back and you're not doing too well, you're not closing those deals, you're not doing any of that, and it's one of those things, I could have gave up and went and got another job, and it would have led like that, and I feel the same way for you because we think similar, so that's why I asked if you'd be an entrepreneur. So for anyone out there, I want to close this interview with one positive thing. Kyle, where do you see yourself going? So if you're going to go into get that job doing finance, what are you looking to hit on? Like, what kind of targets, what market are you going into?
Definitely the insurance market. I just think that, like, that's kind of where I've been led. Like, you know, after doing door-to-door with you, I had an interview with Sun Life Financial. I got all that stuff. And then from there, selling life insurance, I'm going through the education system of their like what they how the products they sell,
The training,
and stuff like that.
yeah.
The training,
yeah.
I read my LLQP, and then just whatever happens after that. I like the idea of creating your own hours. I like the idea of establishing your own relationships with people.
Being your own.
Yeah, being your own
Absolutely.
boss and making your own money. I like that. That to me is amazing. And I again, like, I'm not a very, how do I say this? I'm a very
Versatile? You're versatile?
No, not versatile, man. But I just don't like. I don't like following orders.
Oh, he's huge. I get
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
I'm not the kind of guy to sit there and you know
bark at
all day
sure.
and yell at. Like, I'd rather do the barking and yelling.
Absolutely. It's going to take one of those things. As you strategize, as you grow, you're a smart guy. You'll be able to do that. And something I want to lead off of this before he gives you his social media. A mentality I live by, and it took me a long time to even get to that point. I'm still growing. We're all still going every day. I live by the mentality that I say, I told myself, I don't want to have to answer to anybody. You know, you're going to do contracts with people. You're going to always be in business, communicating, doing these things, always trying to stay humble in the sense that, you know, you're helping people, you're building relationships. But that was one thing that I thought was important to me. I always want to have that idea of self-made, you know, and go from there. Yeah. So give them your social media, Kyle, and let them know if they're sorry to cut you off.
No problem. My social media, follow my Instagram account. It's Fletch Sauce. Fletch Sauce. Also, don't forget to follow Sabri MMA on Facebook. Follow them on Instagram. And also follow John Hilliard, who is the owner of The Basement Fitness on LaSalle. Go check them out. They're awesome. They helped me get in shape for that Jesse fight. And yeah, they're one of my personally favorite gyms. I've been to every gym in town, so
absolutely.
Okay.
Kyle, it's been an absolute pleasure, my man.
It was awesome.
Seriously, guys, check this guy out. Kyle's the man. And for Jesse out there, I'm taking you all on. Seriously, all you boys. I'm just kidding. Oh, that's good.